Let's get started. The meeting of the Board of Directors, the 5th District, is now in session. Margaret, would you?
Thank thee, O God, that we are able to meet together as a group to discuss problems of the Nursing Association. We ask thy guiding hand as we take care of the business. We thank thee for health and for strength, and that we are able to be at this meeting. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Mrs. Glenn, Mrs. Armstrong,
Here.
Sister Christian is sick. So please excuse.
Mrs. Langford,
Also, having children, babies-in-law, daughter-in-law's in the hospital.
Mrs. Lott,
And she can't be here. She called. She sent a report. Yes, she's tired of the meeting. She can't get out of it.
Mrs. Fitzpatrick, Mrs. Wells,
She's also ill. She just got back from Florida and to see Dr. Kelly today.
Mr. Hartford, Mrs.
Yeah.
Stanley,
Here.
Mrs. McGee,
Here.
Mrs. Graves.
I think she has a meeting on Mondays that she can't go ever. She hadn't been in the last 4 or 5 meetings, so her time expires in September.
Mrs. Burns has that
She
conflict.
called, She could possibly skip the meeting today, faculty meeting.
Mrs. Rittenhouse.
Are there any corrections to the minutes that you all? Other than that one place where Ms. Langford give her credit for being present for a report for her section, I hadn't had any comment. And I regret they came to you too late, but they were supposed to go out last Sunday and we didn't make it. Under unfinished business, the appointment of the ad hoc committee, we have left off Nellie Rogers. Oh, we have? And there's some typographical errors. Ruth Campbell, and it's Lena Levitt, L-A-V-E-T-T-E. And Loretta Roberts, Carolyn.
Chairman, I believe in the meeting of ethical, legal, and professional standards. Program meeting was held with the NSA section on February 3rd, not January.
Where is that?
February.
Yes,
February.
And the other comment I have is paragraph 3 on the last page. Considerable discussion on possible reasons for
Low membership.
And I'm not sure that I understand here. Mrs. Glenn reported that Mrs. Honeycutt has asked for official billheads to dignify membership. No, that's too
Signify.
It's a little difficult to read your handwriting sometimes, just like mine is, and Miss Monaco never used it.
before, I tried to do them, but
Yeah.
this time she had to do it.
Supervisor.
Are there any other questions? Corrections?
And we lucky to get these, because she picked them up Friday at 3 o'clock, and had them in the mail that evening.
If I hear no other corrections, the minutes will stand as corrected.
I can't find any of those, I'll wait till I can see straight here. Yours?
I think most of the communications that I have today will come up under the old and new business. However, I would like to extend to you all my many thanks for coming on this beautiful spring day.
She did not call my name. Roll call. I wasn't here tonight. Public health
Barbara
section.
Peacock.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else?
Mrs. Stillday, do you have a report from the secretary? No report. Treasurer?
Sister Christian asked that I did that, and this morning, as Miss Flynn knows, that I've been worrying and fretting about the treasurer report in the minutes since over a week ago. In fact, I dropped everything a couple of weeks ago and thought I'd resume it last Sunday, but my plans didn't materialize. So, this morning I went in thinking the first thing I'll do is get Sister a treasury report. I've been waiting on the Aaron rents to find out how much they charge us on the gold service, and also on the Hoffa Printing Company, because we'd have to make new vouchers, you know, they were made this past month. Well, Aaron Rents beat me to it, the auditors were glad with them, so we'll have a statement in the morning, and I don't know when we'll hear from the printers, I'll call them. But after I opened the statement that came in Friday, I don't know whether I should even call them a while till we get a little bit more money. We're down to $1,166.46. First, we have some in savings, but now in my little report to you that I made up this morning, I've showed you all of the dues that's been reported to us after we went on flexible membership there. We got some in December, you know, for 1970. And we haven't had any checks to cover other than the month of January. I mean, in other words, all checks received by ANA after February we should have. And as you know, 8 bags of mail were lost, and so many of our statements had to be duplicated. So as soon as I get those other 2, and we do have a check for $600, you'll see it noted on that last one, just came in Friday, that I'll deposit in the morning. I didn't have a photocopy of the page, and I didn't want to put it in there without taking a picture of it. So right now, although I'm happy to tell you we've got 90, I believe it's 92 new members processed. We finished 24 of them, and then I've got a list that I just finished addressing by hand some cards to the meeting, and I counted a total of 92. So that's all helpful. But of course, all of those, you know, still will have to pay the dues a little bit later on as they are billed. But the statement right now on the balance as of February well, anyhow, it's the first, whenever they made the statement out, 27th, February 27th, 1970 is $1,166.46. And time we pay rent and salary and so forth on that, I better not put out any more money till I put a little bit in. Hopefully we'll get another check soon.
This brings up the point, you know, as to whether this organization as a group would like to get on some money-raising tracks, so to speak, because unless we do get money from somewhere, we are not going to be able to maintain our present headquarters or any of the functions not coming in. In order to meet our budget this year, we needed 1,667 members, and we have
332 right now as of through January for 1960.
for
And you
1970.
see, some of those, 62 of those paid in installments. One installment on the associate degrees.
So we are really in sad financial shape.
I feel very hopeful about it though, because we've had so many more inquiries from other hospitals who did not join last year. Say they want to come in.
We haven't got the
Georgia
February,
Baptist.
we haven't gotten the February statement yet. That might make quite a difference.
Well, the statement we received, the big old thing from the computer, was for the last half of January. It was $658, whatever it is I have written down on your little sheet here.
We still have nothing yet from the
658.
February group.
No. And you see, so many of ours were lost in mail, so we ought to have some, but we still better not count on it too heavily. I think we ought not just go ahead and be too hopeful about it. We feel it'll come in, but we're not sure.
I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think we can count on membership to sustain us alone, really. Unless we get out and take the bushes real fast.
Grady has done the most toward on recruitment of the new members since January. I imagine that they have more than all the rest of them put together.
A lot of people have not renewed from last year.
I can't break it down in sections to you because they promised us a directory every month. Well, the only directory they sent me was the 1st of January. That covered December, so the auditor has that one. And since then, I don't have one. A&E, And then you see, when I get it, I can pull all my plates and I can tell you by my plates what they are. Because otherwise, you've got 3 names here in different sections, then you've got somebody's changed addresses. You'd never be able just to sit down and say how many you got from that big old sheet. But if I get the directory that they're promising us, then I can go ahead and pull plates and then have all of them sorted according to sections.
What got lost? I've never been able to figure out, because I didn't
I
send,
called A&A after 5 calls in 1 week, 3 of them in 1 day.
I didn't
And they
send,
didn't send us some notice, didn't send us a word as to why we were having so many calls if the renewal notice has not been received. So I called this person that's called us so many times in the past. Can't think of my name right now, but anyhow, she talked quite at length about it, and she says, well, yes, we had 20 bags of mail was stolen in one of the New York post offices, and 8 of them belonged to A&E. Said, did you know about it? Of course we didn't. And she said, well, I'll go ahead and send me the pictures of the people you have right now that say they haven't gotten them, notes and so forth. And I'll send them, but in the meantime, tell everybody else they're going to get a duplicate anyhow. And the duplicate came within 24 hours. So then I got getting calls while they're getting 2 of them.
I got a duplicate the day after my dues had gone in, I think.
But you're gonna go on with your report of
Was that on the issues of people who had...
Well, my report, I've typed it up for you, it's written, and other than that, we've been very busy, and that
I
gives you
didn't
the
get
most of it.
it, but I got my card.
I don't know whether you all know
quickly in the
that
fall.
Carolyn spent a good time, a good amount of time when the legislature was in session, and really did a marvelous job down there. We'll have the reports for standing committees, bylaws.
The bylaws committee did go over the public health section bylaws, and we feel that they are in conformity with possible one exception, and we weren't really sure that the wording was exactly as it should be. The idea was in conformity, but we were concerned about the wording. And, but we did think the bylaws, as they were worked over, were all right in conformity.
ACT never did send those rules in that they wanted to revise. We notified them of your meeting, and they said they were still working on it.
Some members of the bylaws committee say, 2 members said that they did not get a notice of the bylaws committee meeting, and we weren't exactly legal, and I wasn't gonna tell that. Some of us met, and the rest of us, I got in touch with the rest of. Miss Lewis, you're not listening, will you please?
I'm not.
This has been a whole year that we haven't been able to get a bylaws committee together. And I thought it was high time that one way or the other, we met. But,
Well, you know, since you brought it up, I'd like to comment on just what you said. You know, our committees were all selected very early in September, and I can't say that you all have functioned too well as committee chairman and as some of you as committee members. I think we really have to work on this and really get some enthusiasm. I know it's, with all your divided selves these days, it's pretty hard to do. But unless it comes from this group, I have some real concerns about what's going to happen to the organization.
Did you get your notice? Usually,
the bylaws? No.
Usually on a committee meeting, I always, add yours to those and section meetings. Well, you know how I feel about cards and about mail. I know I put them there, but I can't tell what happens after they leave that office.
it's real interesting.
Because I check it off on a little,
Actually, I got a letter from one of the girls, after I corresponded with her about getting to the meeting, and then another one wrote on it, I didn't get a card, I didn't get a notice, and Joanna said she didn't get a notice. The Atlanta mail service is the worst anywhere in the country, I do believe.
I think it is.
You can't send them at
and yet
all
they
on
were
it.
so nice to us yesterday at 3 o'clock when I finished the rest of the 1,200 that I had to do yesterday morning, and I saw it and get ready. He said, if you'll bring them right over, I'll treat them like first-class mail. And of course, all I could do to lug the big box
But
over
you just don't get where they
and
go.
of course, the man had to let me in, the guard had to let me in to get there. You say it's all hard. Well, all I know is I'll take it down, they act real nice to me about it.
Margaret, did you want to say anything about state bylaws that interject to? No?
Well, yes, there's restructuring, of course, the state bylaws, and with the new structure, there will not, well, I don't know what there will be, but what they're proposing, of course, there will not be sections, and there will be conference groups. Now, they have not given the district any instruction as to what the district will have, any suggestions for their rules or bylaws. Yeah.
See, I wonder if this is one of the reasons behind some of the inactivity of the sections, is that they hear the rumblings in the background, and I don't think they're really concerned at this point about the bylaws as they stand.
I don't
Didn't
think,
they suggest we not do anything about them unless we had to, since they
Oh,
don't do anything?
we can't do anything until
No, you can't.
So these are approved at convention.
Are you talking about bylaws of the section or bylaws of the district?
You're talking about rules of sections and bylaws.
We can't even get enough people. I feel if we get enough people to the meeting, I'm not gonna want to
Don't worry about that. That's the way I feel taking her out to district
Eventually, I
meetings.
hope, we can work on it, but at this point, it's impossible.
This may be way out of line, but I'd like to say it since I've been thinking about this. I would, if the state approves the new structure, and if that then leads us into not having any sections, and I don't see us having sections if the state doesn't have sections, I wish we would consider meeting monthly, since we will not be sections, and making the programs so diversified that they would take care of the interest groups. But meeting monthly, I think meeting every 2 months, you lose people. They forget to come.
I talked to Gail a long time ago about some of these ideas over the telephone, and I think that if something like this happens, it would be real important to cut down the length of time we spend on business in the meetings, and maybe circulate some written reports, and let the board take care of all this nitty-gritty business, because I think if you're elected to the board, you expect a little of this, and really get down to the problems of nursing in the meetings and discuss that. I would think that the 5th District should be able to take some leadership in this sort of thing. So I'm forewarning you, I'm expecting you to, if this comes to pass, that we really get down and do something about it. I'm making a lot of side comments and not getting down to the business here. Did Charity Wells send in a report?
No, but she met with your group there.
No, she was in the hospital.
What I'm talking about is her committee met with your group, didn't they?
Yes, had that been since our last meeting?
It's February 3rd.
No, that was a section meeting. We had a program that, and before that, we had, while she was in the hospital, we had a committee meeting at Emory. And we decided then to have, to further the publicity for this by having a program at the Nursing Service Administrative Section dinner. And we had 2 members of the committee were there, Sister Jane Cannigan, and then Miss and I know so well.
Woody.
Cynthia, no, Cynthia, what's her
Mallory?
name? Mallory, Miss Mallory. And we felt we had just 17, but if you may not remember, but it was a very bad night, cold. We thought we'd have no one there, but we did have 7 for dinner. And they were all quite interested, and we had one new member to join our section, Miss Sexton, who is Director of Nursing at Piedmont. And we probably will plan to have her give a report on her staffing visit that she made to West. I don't know where she went. That, of course, that's not part of the report for the committee.
Thank you. Finance, Mrs. Monk is not here.
She doesn't come unless something unusual.
She sent a report.
No.
Legislation, Carol.
Well, this has been a poor committee chairman this year. I left in November and just got back. However, there's been an awful lot going on, as all of you aware, and this is all in Carolyn's report. She has done the work of this committee chairman since I've been gone. And I don't really even know if any of the committee members were involved with the Osborne
Well, I
County.
informed them every night, except Miss Barfield. I just kept the list in front of me, and Miss Ditchfield said, well, I'll call Miss Barfield. So every night I gave them a report until the very last week on that, and then I couldn't get them all in. I mean, so
Well,
I gave them the written report.
When I realized we would not be back before the legislature started or was over, I wrote Carolyn and told her this, so I'm really grateful for her taking over. My main concern is that it seems that 5th District is doing everything for the state. And this is the way it was last year. When something goes on down at the legislature, they call up 5th District and they call up the nurses in 5th District, and of course naturally we're here. But still, the state committee to me doesn't seem like it's functioning. And there's a meeting next Saturday, which I will attend for the state. And I'd like to really bring this up and see what the problem is. As far as I know, the state legislative committee has not met this year.
She came over Monday for the hearing, Miss Lacy did. I don't know whether...
This happened last year. The first meeting I think they had was in the spring after the session was over. Now, I'm just saying this because I haven't been back hardly a month myself, and I don't really know for a fact, but I still got my mail out from California, and I never had any invitations to a meeting, so I'm assuming they haven't met. So we got to get something on a state level, really decided on. Of course, they changed committee chairman this year, which made a difference. And I don't even know who's on the state committee. But anyway, this is a very thorough and complete report that Caroline has given you. And if you're not aware of what went on during those 2 weeks she was down at the legislature every day, be sure and read it. I think we owe her a great deal for what she did. And the senators are aware of 5th District nurses anyway, if they aren't anybody else, because of what she did.
Well, I think it was a very learning experience, and frankly, I feel like I will be better in the years to come with any legislative group that the district has, because taking the little book and watching everybody speak for 2 weeks' time, you begin to know which one of the senators really, for instance, we knew the Senator Webb and Smalley were the two, they consider them the stabilizers of the group. And I feel that if we have work out some plan with them next year where we have a hospitality booth, we can do something in helping them in their hot meal situation, as so many of you heard me talk about. You give them protection after they've had a heart attack, or why not? Yes. I'm grateful for the time down there. I'm just sorry I didn't have more time, and the fact that we did, I covered all the sessions except the night sessions from the time we were notified on. Early morning to late at night. Once or twice I had to slip in and send out some cards when somebody stood by. And I do want to tell you that the girls on the committee, particularly on the day of the hearing, came by, and some of the night nurses from Crawford Long, the previous group out at DeKalb General, for the first several days, until after we had been almost assured that the bill would be referred to the study committee, we didn't know it until the very last day, actually. But I think this is, all of us, it behooves us to go down there and know what's going on. I'm guilty as anybody in the world. I had no idea that they were that serious about it. I thought politics, you just pat yourself on the back and I'll get yours when yours comes along.
I think this crisis that occurred this year is probably a very, very good incentive for the state and for the 5th District to really plan something for next year. I think we have to remember that our close proximity to the Capitol and to the state headquarters makes us very accessible to this sort of thing. And but I do agree. I think we should have better communication and a little bit better exchange of responsibility, so it doesn't fall on one person's hands. Either that or hire a lobbyist, a paid lobbyist to go down there who supports our organization. Okay, membership.
Ms. Blunt called me and she referred to the meeting they had in January. They approved 24 members at that time, which was circulated to you, and we'd like to have the approval on those. And we have the balance of those to make the 92 members. It's 86 more, I forgot how the figures run on that, and she's going to have a meeting very soon.
Are there any objections to the 24 names that were circulated to you all on their becoming members? Hearing no objections, we ratify their membership.
And
May
I'll
I
ask, excuse me, what were you going to ask?
May I ask a question? Carol, on these new members that come in with the little card that some of us sign, I know I've signed 2 or 3 lately, and they're not on that list. They don't have to be further,
Yes, they do. Now, when I get that certification on that, that means that I can go ahead and send it to A&A. And I've got 37 and 24, I mean, a whole group of them, but until I don't bring them to the board until the membership committee has gone over them. But I don't have anybody left except on Thursday, just before I went to the Friday meeting, we got in 6, and we got in 10 when I came in, went to the mailbox Sunday. Now, of that group, many of them were certified, and you see all of them could go right straight ahead. But without the certification, and I want to tell you one thing, I've had a lot of conversation about my little cards, but it's our salvation when you realize that A&A lost their whole membership list last year. The computers wouldn't give it to them, they had to start all over with. Now, I got in today in that group of mail, one from Miss Overton, somebody in Reading, Pennsylvania, applying for membership in 5th District on the Seth Naylor No School of Nursing. She did have a state board registration. Fortunately, she was in there, and she's in the Army, and I found out afterwards. Mrs. Overton sent a little note in there, said she didn't know which district she wanted to go into. Maybe I could find out. So I got it this morning, and then, of course, after I found out that she's a Grady graduate, she naturally would come in 5th District. But I don't care what anybody says. Some of the people are signing those little things and sending them up to New York, and I don't have any way of knowing who they are, what they are, where they came from. So with this, this is something definite we have that'll stand and file that with your little certification, then they'll immediately. And I have been able till this last week to get every one of them out within 24 hours from the time they come in, type them in and send them back to them to send on to New York, so there wasn't any delay whatsoever in those until I got sick. And that certification saves a lot of postage and everything else, and it works out much better that way. So if anybody else wants any more application forms, we have them. The unfortunate thing, 3 people sent me money, and they're not supposed to. One of them lost a card. Well, I just figured you could get it to them. I don't know what to do. She called me about it today. The other 2 kept calling me all the week. One of them had to have it because she wants the insurance. In fact, both of those 2. And A&A said don't send any money back whatsoever. But it takes time. It throws us off our schedule. I'm taking up too much time to tell you about it. But at any rate, we do have more that will come up before the membership, and you'll get that list. I'm going to take it to Ms. Monaco tomorrow and get it typed up. So I'll have it ready for the membership.
Nominations, I have a letter from Mrs. Kathy Woodfin resigning. Dear Mrs. Flynn, I wish to inform you that for personal reasons I find it necessary to resign as chairman of the Nominations Committee for 5th District. I extend my best wishes for a successful term in these crucial times for nurses in Georgia. Sincerely, Kathy Woodfin Jacobs. Now, she is an elected official.
Here's the others on the election.
Now, in our election, as the bylaw stated, this chairman must be an elected official. And let's see, in the elections, Mrs. Woodfin, of course, was first. Following her was Mrs. Pierce with 112 votes, then Mrs. Garland with 105, and then Jean Copeland had 1.
Which Mrs. Pierce?
Said the chairman shall be elected annually by mail ballot. And then the other says we can fill any of the elected offices down here, but it didn't say anything about the chairman or committee on nominations. Because it says to elect all standing committees of, well, they accept that committee.
So it would seem that, with the election of this person, that Mrs. Esther Pierce, who ran second, would be the elected member to chair this committee. Do we need to know?
Well, I think you do. Motion, you just declare that she's gonna accept her resignation and say she. I mean, do something with that.
Are we going to accept her resignation?
I move we accept her resignation.
All in favor, raise the hand. Opposed?
Can you do, who said? I did.
Mrs. Stanley. Therefore, the board accepts Mrs. Jacobs' resignation and recognizes Mrs. Esther Pierce as chair. Oh, thank you. The chair declares Mrs. Esther Pierce the chairman of the Committee of Nominations. Now, this will have to be announced.
That's your final copy. I'll give you a copy of it. I had some. If you want to bring it in.
We have no report from the Committee on Nominations. This is a committee that will get very, very busy now. Should have been busy. Carolyn, will you take care of notifying her? Yes. Ann Rosenau, Emergency Health Preparedness and National Defense. She did not send in a report. No report. Programs, Ms. Foster?
We haven't had a meeting yet. We will try to get those young nurses to come to the program meeting in May. The last time we had a program committee meeting, we had one member
I know
show up.
this is real upsetting because there are some real dynamic people on this committee.
I know it,
Just
but-
get them together.
They, you know, it sort of makes you wonder whether or not that's why we planned it with one person last time.
I would rather really have a very hostile committee.
I
than
would
A
too.
passive one.
The one that just doesn't come, you know, that's just.
Anybody want any extra notices to take out? I had some extra ones there. If you want to invite some friends, we invited schools of nursing, non-nurses, non-members to come.
Annie Lauren, how is this going to work on, what's your plan of action for Thursday?
Thursday.
So we can come prepared.
Well, I think they'll just talk about nursing and legislation. The lawmakers are coming, the ones who just made the laws.
They came at our invitation. We called Ms. Crawford and asked if we could invite them because 13 districts was going to invite them. These three, Jack Fincher and Hardy, the three that did us the most good, said they'd help us write our legislation. And they suggested we get to work right now seeing people and getting to work on it for next year. In fact, they made some other suggestions too, but at any rate, they said that they would be glad to meet with us and they'd like to know us a little bit better and that certainly they would help us in preparing our legislation. And the best way to do that. That's what I'm talking about. I did yesterday. I got there at 10:30 and I addressed those things. I'm supposed to do them Friday. She's got a copy of the other one. Last year, they were the size of a postcard. And what happened when I got ready to address them Friday, I had them and picked them up last Friday when I was at the meeting at the state. Went to bed Saturday night, and they stayed in my car until this Friday. Miss Mace brought me down. It's the first day I had a normal temperature, and the first day I could even possibly make it. And what happened, the address went right up under here, the way it fitted the machine. So Ms. Monaco had to take them back with the minutes and with public health notices for me, 3 o'clock Friday, and fold them. Then you see that would push it down on the addressogram. So I had to do the 1,200 yesterday, and I had already sent them out the evening before to the hospitals, all of the hospitals, all the schools of nursing and health agencies. Those should have gotten out Friday night and got up there at the mailbox that usually picks it up at 8 o'clock, and they discontinued it.
Well,
So I've written by hand all of the 92 new ones we have. All of our membership's been notified. Every hospital and every health agency we have in 5th District has been notified. Now, whether they'll get through or not, the men promised me faithfully. They put it through them yesterday, just like first-class mail. Now, the other went out on the first-class mail in the envelopes, although they picked them up at the Plaza Box. Should have been at 8 o'clock. Come to find out they even discontinued 2 mails there. So they picked them up at Saturday at 9 o'clock. So they would have had all the weekend to have gotten them sorted and gotten out.
I hope there's enough there so that they don't.
Well, you know, the reason I wanted to send a letter to the schools, I didn't want them to come there antagonistic to the lawmakers who've been so good to us. And I thought, well, we better tell them the truth, that they had asked if we'd been notified. And I didn't want them to do like they did the private duty meeting one time when the administrators met there, and it was very embarrassing. In fact, Ms. Mann and some of the others said that they were real concerned about some of the ugliness displayed.
If every seat is full, I think the legislators would accept even a paddling from them, some of them. You know, I mean, if there's 6 or 8 or 10 or 20 people there, I'm going to just be real embarrassed.
Well, maybe this group kind of help call around a little bit and see if we can. Maybe somebody take on the schools of nursing and.
Well, I'm sort of, I have to say that I'm sort of opposed to this kind of nursemaiding stuff. Either they.
Well, I've done my part.
Yeah.
I've given them all the reports why they should be there.
They got a notice and that's it. But if the legislators come and there's just a handful there, I think it'll be real interesting. Because I don't see why they should bother with legislation, Joe, if the nurses don't show any interest in it. But
If the cards get out in time, and please God, I hope they will, I don't think it will, I don't think we have to worry about
You think
an
that-
audience,
Mhm.
because
Good.
if you could have seen the great interest at the Capitol on that Monday, the only thing I'm worried about is I hope it is not anti-climatic.
well,
I know all the public health nurses will be there.
it may seem so to some of them, but it is the time now to start to work while they're still fresh as to what's happened, and while we have enough time to draft some kind of legislation. They're proposing to talk about how you go about getting a bill written and getting sponsorship for it, and then what you do to nurse it along. I think they'll just go through the legislative process
I
with
think
us.
that'd be very
And there'll be a lot of nurses there. This will be a new experience for, I hope.
We went to see them at some of Chapman's suggestion. We asked him when we were real distressed down there, not knowing that it'd be referred to the study committee, what we should do now in case it was brought up. Would it do well if we saw former Governor Sanders? And he suggested the sooner the better. So we made an appointment right then. He was out Saturday to see him the following Monday. Miss Ditchfield went down there with me to see him. And don't you think the practical nurses didn't have somebody down there sitting through this thing the whole time? And one of the things Senator Chapman said is better get practical nurses off our backs. But at any rate, whatever, they were very kind to us. And I think that they were misled. The chairman of the Health and Welfare Committee had been told, the 5th district members had been notified, or the state nurses had been notified, and it was recorded on tape. That was proven to us. And that's why I felt like our membership should know it too, you know, not to come down there resentful and embarrass us for
Yeah.
having it.
Okay, let's everybody aim for a good audience for Thursday.
That's,
Mrs. Simmons is not here, and she does not have a report.
No, I sent out 300 extra notices for the bulletin boards.
For the
This
program on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Reports to Special Representative, Mrs. Lott is not here for the Joint Health
Excuse me,
Commission.
she gave me a report on hers, and she said it had not been confirmed, but it had gotten through the regional for the funds, and they had all reason to believe that the project would be funded, and she said she had proposed 5 people from 5th District to go on the committees, and while it had not been announced, she wanted me especially to give you the name of the person who was selected. I think, do you remember a person named Wells, the chairman of that committee? I've got it here, but, and it's on a piece of yellow paper. At any rate, she had been to the meeting and had representatives. See anything yellow there? Go. I'll tell you a little bit later on. But she hopes that the 5 representatives from 5th District would be included on the committees.
The Model Cities program, there's a meeting right after this one, which I will be attending. And they are doing a rather fascinating project at the moment. They are setting up a sort of private physician dentist service for the people in one of the census tracts down there. Now, basically what this program does is give to the indigent at least an opportunity to select their own physician. And then these physicians go through they send their bills through another agency who will tabulate them, and then they are getting government funds. So in all reality, the government will be paying to the physician a fee. Fascinating thing about this whole service is that there nowhere in the project is there a nurse mentioned. And it's because of the third party involvement. You know, you can't ask the government to pay the third party because they aren't independent
project,
workers.
Model Cities Better Health Incorporated get funded,
Yes, it did. They have it on was the office last year at the corner of Georgia and Capitol? They have a whole building now there.
I finally found it.
that's Mrs. Helen Pemberton too. I should have called your attention to that when we were going through the corrections.
She says the next one is gonna be March the 12th at noon, and said the elected officers on January the 29th. Dr. Robert Wells is the president. He's thought that they'd be particularly interested in that. And they resubmitted the application. It was approved at Region 4. Nan Washington unofficially told that it has been approved with funds forthcoming. I hope you can read my writing. I took it over the phone.
Back to the Model Cities program, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting meeting, and after tonight, I think I may have some more to report. I'm afraid it's going to be one of those very hairy meetings. Mrs. Burns, did she send a report?
She did it over the telephone when she said she couldn't come. Only had 5 members present. Was real disappointed on February the 23rd. And she's hoping that they can do better next time.
You know, you read these reports of the committees, you know, in the minutes, and you sort of cringe. Because we really haven't done much. Ms. Fitzpatrick, administrators?
Well, I think I made about all the report that I would have to
Thank
make
you.
this time.
Mrs. Smith?
We had a good meeting last month. We had Red Cross representatives out to speak to us. Each meeting we seemed to be progressing just a little. We had a roundtable discussion afterwards that seemed to be profitable to all of us. It was a good meeting.
You also did a questionnaire on that, didn't you? Did you get good
Yes.
response?
Yes, I haven't gone over all the answers yet, all the papers. I'm gonna do that in the next week or two, but it seems to be seems to have been a good thing to do. I hope we make some progress from it.
Yeah, the general duty section is doing pretty good on their programs and involvement as a section.
I think we
Yeah,
had
if you get
hit
into the
rock
district
bottom, so we had
meeting.
nowhere to go but up. So we had to do better.
Mrs. Langford is not here.
She did not have a meeting, to my knowledge. We didn't see any notices out.
Public health, Barbara.
We had a meeting last month and it was a very good meeting, but we did not get to finish our business, so we are planning to have a special a special section meeting right before the district meeting, so you can look for a lot of public health nurses to be the district meeting.
Oh, good.
If you don't receive your card when you go home, will you call me tonight?
Yes.
So I can see when you forward them.
Okay.
She got them Friday and they should have been in the mail.
Do we have any old business? Unfinished, right. Do we? Any decisions we
The statements that the private duty nurses had ordered had the approval. We let Ms. Honeycutt do the proofreading. We expected them out at least February the 9th and already have a very nice letter written by the president to the private duty groups. So, of course, I was away for 2 weeks. It may be they brought them up then, they didn't leave them, but I called to let them know, that I'd be back. And of course, they didn't know I was going to be away these past few days. But other than that, that's all I know that's in trouble. But I always have a feeling in making this agenda that there's something left out. I don't know why. You just have that little feeling.
New business. I don't know whether you all know or not, under new business, that Ms. Annie Lou Overton has resigned as Secretary of GSNA and will be leaving April 1st. At the board meeting, it was decided to announce this to the district and to get applications into the district by this Friday, which would be March 13th. The board is meeting on Saturday to attempt to fill this position. So if any of you hear of anybody who would be interested in this, I have some forms and Carolyn has some forms. The board accepted Ms. Overton's resignation with regrets. I think we're losing someone very, very valuable. She's done an awful lot over there. education we received is in regard to an exhibit at the DeKalb County Health Department. The DeKalb County Health Department is the president expanding its program of health education, which will involve an area of our central health center called the Health Science Plaza. Several months back, we discovered that much of the government money that could be used for the purchase and construction of exhibits on health subjects has dried up. What we are seeking to do now is to have furnished to us the 12 most effective exhibits that we can locate. We'd like to ask the GSNA 5th District to lend us the exhibit that you think best represents its educational and professional goals. Around your exhibit, we will build a teaching unit that our staff will present to the community groups who come in. Last week, we had over 650 visitors to this one health center. Our target date will be April 1. Another thing that we have discovered is the willingness and generosity of certain organizations such as the DeKalb Medical Center, the Avondale Women's Club, and the Atlanta TB and Respiratory Disease Association to give exhibits to the health department based on a cooperative design in their name for use in our health education program. If your agency is interested in participating, they'll be happy to hear from us. And it's from T.O. Vincent. And what is your pleasure? The silent majority.
Well, Crawford Long had some real good ones when we, 2 years ago, had exhibits down below, you know. We had them in the St. Joseph's, the nurse wing. I was gonna say Crawford Long and Grady both. I think someone designated could contact those two if they'd like for them to.
Would this be a job for the Public Relations Committee? I think this is a great opportunity, but I'm speaking from a very selfish viewpoint, to really do some education to the public, because that health center out there is very, very busy.
Either public relations or promote or membership, I guess.
Okay, the bylaws state that the public relations and liaison promote better understanding by the public of professional nurses, cooperate with groups allied to nursing to maintain good relationships, and actively participate in nurse recruitment throughout the district. So I would see this really as a job for the Public Relations Committee. And as the board, I would suggest that we delegate this responsibility to this committee. Hearing no objections, this committee will assume the responsibility for considering an exhibit for the DeKalb Health Center.
I would think most of the hospitals and agencies in the industry would have pictures of nurses in action. Some photographs could be made into a good exhibit just with captions on
Yeah,
them.
we ought to
even.
have a lot of them now with the dedication of school coming up right now.
There would be all kinds of this sort of thing, and I'm pretty sure that most of them would be willing for them to be used. See, if you put captions on in terms of education of a nurse and all the different varieties of services and so on, including a picture of the military and the industrial nurse at work, public health nurse and so on.
Some in uniform and some out of uniform.
Yes.
I might say too that the Allied Medical Careers, which will soon be out of existence and be called part of the Health Careers Council, they are planning for a convention very soon, and they have voted to spend some money, up to $500, say, to make a permanent type exhibit. And this may be, I don't know what they're going to make, but this may be something they would like to look at, because it should be a good exhibit with that much money going into it. Patty Sue Jackson probably would be the person to contact. I don't know where Patty Sue is. Is she with SREB?
Was that Patty Sue Jackson?
Patty Sue Jackson.
No. She's no longer with State Health.
She could be. I don't know. Well, I guess she still is.
No, she's not with us.
Okay, we have a lot of new business. We have a suggestion submitted by Mary Cates that needs our consideration in regard to trying to do something about membership. As a member of 5th District GSNA and a member of the membership committee, I've become increasingly concerned with the problems in attracting and holding members. This isn't really new business, is it? It's too late.
Suggestions.
She had a new idea, so I'm going to extend the truth a little bit. In our efforts to secure members and maintain interest in our professional organization, we are finding several reasons for not joining and/or lack of interest in attending meetings. Many of these reasons are related to time, distance, and programs. I was personally upset over the poor attendance at January meeting, since there are only 4 business meetings each year despite bad weather. Where were the nurses? You will recall that we did not constitute a quorum to conduct the business of our district. As part of our recruitment of inactive nurses with a refresher training project, we have initiated 4 Atlanta area neighborhood study groups. The groups were to meet monthly for the purpose of continuing education and provide a means for both active and inactive nurses to pursue their interests and excellence in nursing practice. Unfortunately, bad weather, apathy, and poor attendance is plaguing the neighborhood groups also. Since the initiation of our neighborhood groups last summer, I had envisioned participation in the sustained interest of GSNA members. One of the most populated areas, Decatur, has failed to sustain enough nurses to continue meetings. The problems I thus identified, I have proposed previously that 5th District was too large and should be divided. Obvious resistance was based on sound reasons. Therefore, I would like to present the following as a possible solution. 1, that the neighborhood study groups become, in effect, subunits of the 5th District GSNA. The title could be 5th District Decatur Local. That professional organizational business be conducted 30 minutes prior to the educational program, thus preserving the basic and prime objective of each group. 3rd, that 5th District members be requested to support their local unit with regular attendance. A suggested plan to ensure a minimum attendance is a 3-buddy system. Thus, one of the 3 persons should be able to attend any one meeting. The chairman of the locals be appointed and enough organizational framework with the non-members be established to affect the business of the neighborhood groups. And fifth, that each local appoint specific members to attend the 5th District business meetings, thus providing sufficient members for a quorum to conduct business and serving to affect communications between the district and the local. The positive results which could occur are those of better attendance, support of the local neighborhood study groups, increasing membership, and the stimulation of learning and frank discussions of issues in nursing practice. I'll be most happy to meet with you or members of the board. Please accept these suggestions as those of concern and not as criticism. Sincerely, Mary Pates. Comments, questions, action?
Is this a proposal in addition to what we already have as district meetings and section meetings and local unit meetings, right?
Right.
I think the idea of neighborhood groups are good. The idea is good. And I think a lot of people do not come to our meetings because they are downtown. And timing and so forth, families, etc. But I can't see the addition of another meeting unless it's some kind of, like she said, buddy system where one person would go to a meeting and come back and report.
My feeling about this is very similar. I feel that if we have these locals that she is talking about, in addition to what we already have, we will have even less people. I would like to see us strengthen in some other way our district organization. And the only thought I have is possibly time, maybe night meetings. I get under the table when I suggest the night meeting, though.
We had a conference group meeting this morning and attracted about 35 people to come. And I think that if we do move, at least with program geared meetings, I think this does bring out people. If we go that way, you're saying that the restructuring may push us into conference groups? If we follow
Yes,
the
I
state
think
Well,
policy?
on the district level, I'm wondering if it should be conference group. I really think if we have a strong district with programs that would be appropriate to the various interest groups or conference groups,
Well, you see,
this might not be better.
well, what I'm speaking to is the point of getting people out. And what I'm saying is a meeting this morning did get 35 people out. Now, we
Yeah.
have no representation at
This
district
is
level.
a state.
Yeah, this is state, because there is no
I'm
structure.
I'm in agreement with state conference groups. But I'm concerned about, you're on the state and then you come along with the district and you're on that too, and
Then we come out
and we don't get to, we don't coordinate it.
See, I have a real concern if we consider this in light of Mr. Heiss, some of his proposals that he made last Saturday in regard to really getting units active. Here we go again, dividing up people into so many meetings. I just can't.
Well, actually, she said that they weren't successful. I mean, they had bad attendance.
The neighborhood study groups and the study group.
That's the study group.
Well, weren't these
And that's a
designed for the
duplication of
inactive
effort I
nurses
have.
to keep them updated somewhat, which is a different,
Well, they pulled in because they pulled in some of my nurses to these, local
Yeah.
groups that, I've been trying to get to the district. They are members.
I think this letter requires some sort of action on my part, written action.
Hear what she's whispering.
You know, don't you?
I think I heard them.
Perhaps this letter should be referred to the bylaws committee because it would require a great deal of restructuring of our present organization. And if we should adapt this, I think it would have to go through the proper channels. Hearing no objections.
Learn that little trick too.
I would hope, I would hope that Mrs. Tiggs could be commended, though, for anyone to take that much time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
She is
Done
concerned
a
very
wonderful
much.
job. And
certainly
she deserves a letter saying that, that it, you know, in view of all these structural changes going on right now, that it's, that the bylaws committee has it in and have it in their kettle cooking. You're gonna cook up so many things, you're gonna have soup
No,
first
right,
thing you
I
know.
think I should. I was going to anyway.
I'll make hash out of it.
Okay. We'll get you a copy of the letter. All right. Legislature's taking care of it. Convention. Resolutions that are coming up. The major resolution will be the proposed due increase. Now, along with this, I don't know whether some of you have received your dues assessment, $10 from the National ANA office, because they are in debt a mere $1.2 million. So each member is being asked to donate $10 to the national organization to get them out of debt. Now, I know there'll be a lot of comments to you and maybe you yourself about this dues assessment. I think one of the ways you might handle it is that the ANA is the only organization we have, no matter how badly it has behaved, so to speak. It's still the national spokesman for nurses. If you can't give 10, if you give a penny, a nickel, a quarter, anything, or $1 million if you want to, that would be very, very fine. But they are trying to get themselves out of debt. This will be a special earmarked fund used for the sole purpose of reducing the present debt. Have any of you received letters?
I haven't
come out
yet. In view of this State Nurses Association still sending my mail to the address of 2 years ago, I'm not sure I'll get mine, but we just need to recognize that we should be doing a better job of who we elect to the board of directors, because this action that's been taken should have been taken 10 years ago. And there are people who served on the board at that time who knew that. if I
What
could talk a
exactly
little.
has happened? Excuse me.
Ma'am.
Could I talk a little bit about this? I went to New York to headquarters February 13th. And I was very much impressed with the forthrightness that they told us of the predicament they were in. We asked the question point blank, was there any misappropriation of funds? Because $1.2 million is a heck of a lot of money. And they said, well, kind of wish they had been, because then your insurance would have replaced some of the money. But and I'm talking about we, ANA, has cut themselves to the bone. My figures may be a little bit wrong, but of about 120 or so staff people, they've cut themselves to 30. And that's just hardly enough to run headquarters. They have, as some of you know, I'm sure, they fired the business director. They have employed some other people. They now have a comptroller, which they've never had. They're trying to separate finance from business and to set up a real business-like organization up there. Now, if you will remember, at convention 2 years ago, they tried to raise the dues. Part of it's our fault that they got into this, because everything has gone up. Everything has gone up. Salaries have gone up. All these people that had to be paid up there have gone up, but the dues haven't gone up since 1963. And 2 years ago, they tried to raise the dues, but they couldn't. Then much of it was business principles, I think. Much of this trouble that they're in is business principles. Apparently the business manager that they had was operating on old-fashioned business principles. He filed things in the drawer. If he didn't have money to pay for this bill, he stuck it under something, you know, and just didn't pay it. And if he had a little bit in the, say, general fund, and this should have come out of another fund, he'd just take it out of the general fund and maybe pay it. But they, after about 4 months of really digging down and turning everything up like this, they are still discovering bills that have not been paid. But I am very convinced, having gone to this meeting at which there were 48 states represented, 96 people there, and they came on their own money. I'm sure the state organization paid them, but the ANA didn't pay it. It was the council, and the ANA generally pays for the expenses there. But 96 people were there under them, and they heckled them. Some of our people really, state representatives there, really heckled the people who were trying to tell us what the trouble was and where the mistakes had been made. And I was a bit embarrassed at some of the things that some of our state presidents did and that worked. I'm sure those people were state presidents and executive secretaries. I was the executive secretary. No, our executive secretary was sick and I went in her place. Things that were perfectly plain, they kept digging at and digging at, and why, I don't know. But I think a student nurse got up and put us in our place. She hung her head and said she was ashamed of the Nurses Association, the people in it. If this is the way they handle their affairs, not that we got into the trouble, but we were in it, and we were bickering about how to get out of it. She says when they got in trouble, financial trouble, they put their shoulders to the wheel and got out of it. And she says, and if this is the way the parent organization acts, I think I'd rather stay in the student organization. And from her conversation, the entire atmosphere of the group changed. And then we got to having some suggestions as to what we could do to get us out of the dilemma we're in. One state even offered to loan ANA $10,000 if 30 other states could do the same thing. Of course, they don't need a loan, they need an outright gift. And they went to people like Kathy Crosby, and there's another very famous person, the wife of some famous person, politician, I've forgotten who it is, who is also a nurse, but they didn't get any response from them as far as money is concerned. So when you get your letter from ANA, remember that there's going to be somebody else that's not going to send their $10. So if you have two $10, or there may be two people that's not going to send. If you have three $10, you could say send them. It would be very helpful. They even suggested a Century Club. And
I know one nurse in another state who's given them over $150.
Well, I know two in this state who have given $100 apiece.
I'm glad we got this report because I knew that we should be getting letters. Are we going to get them?
You will get a letter.
I've been waiting until I got some.
But they did want the state presidents to go back and talk to the states and help people to understand what the situation was.
Well, some of the incompetence, using a broad, bad word, in the states helped put them in this mess. But also over the years, the sanctioning of real poor, backward practices and has helped to do this.
We know that Dr. Hildegard Peplau took a year from what college?
From Rutgers.
Rutgers. And she said that she would really get in there and clean up the mess and then get out.
Yeah,
she's doing it too. She's digging.
And she's one of the few nurses in the country with enough guts and dedication to nursing to do this job, because no executive secretary, no matter what a genius they were, could have been appointed to clean up this mess and stay in business, stay up there. Whoever did this job has to be an interim appointment, and I knew this a long time ago.
If you would assure the members who donate money that this is tax deductible.
And you make your check to Members Emergency Fund, and Members Emergency Fund, and of course to New York. And it will be kept in this particular fund to wipe the slate clean and get us on a sound basis again.
You know, the thing that amazes me is how many telephone calls they used to make. Sometimes I get 2 or 3 in one day, long 15, 20-minute conversations. And I do know for a fact, and I think 2 of them have heard me mention it, the Dime Messenger service, when we had our clinical sessions here, were delivering articles to the various radios and televisions. And I did it after the first day. I realized I was getting myself into it, but saved them $30 or $40 a day's worth just to deliver those packages to the Journal, the three. And they called me last week, anyhow, week before last, asked if I could help them collect from the American Nurses Association that they'd already sent 3 statements up there. And even in cutting it down, why I'm sure that it was still several $100 because I couldn't get the ones way out on College Park and all. I got the nearest ones, the ones that I could get.
While we're talking about this, it reminds me of something else. If there are mistakes, or you hear of any nurses who have mistakes on their cards, they come back from ANA. With the change from central billing, there are a lot of cards that are coming back with the wrong districts on it, the wrong dues, the names are spelled wrong, the addresses are incorrect. They are to write directly to the business manager of ANA, 10 Columbus Circle, with a copy to the state and a copy to the district in order to get these changes made. But to write directly to the business manager. Other things in regard to the convention, may I refer you to March AJN? The proposed amendments are in here and all the proposed resolutions. Pages 586 through 592.
Did you just get that, John? Because I haven't gotten mine yet.
I've got it Saturday.
Oh.
One of the most, I think, to us anyway, because we're money-minded, is the proposed change in the dues and $12.50 increase.
Making the dues $25
Now, this was defeated the last time it was brought up, so it should be real interesting to see what happens with it this year. If we could get more members, the dues might eventually go down. But we only have a third of the nurses belonging to the professional organization, which I think in itself is rather astounding.
There's no compulsion put on nurses. If I were director of nursing service on a hospital, I wouldn't hire a nurse that wasn't a member of the organization.
Well, if I were head of an educational institution, I don't think I'd hire them either.
I wouldn't.
But I have cohorts that don't belong,
And
so I agree with you.
the faculties of the major university schools of nursing, sometimes not a third of them of their faculty members are members.
And these are the leaders, supposedly, in nursing. Yes, wonderful. In regard to the convention, special flights are available. And Carolyn investigated this, and if we get 25 people from the Atlanta district who want to go, there is quite a saving. Round trip by Delta, and Delta is cheaper than Eastern, is $92.40 regular. If we get the cut rate, if we raise 25 people, it'll be $68.25.
I really don't think we'll have a problem getting 25 people
Well,
from
let me
Atlanta.
make a comparison here on Eastern. You haven't seen this. This is a letter Miss Olsen gave me last Friday.
How much?
68.25.
We thought that they were
98, man,
$92.40.
$92.40.
Miss Woody had written them December the 30th, and this was a letter that had been, or a reply to her rather, on the 30th. And Miss Overton gave it to me, and the following is a comparison on Eastern. First class jet round trip is $110 plus $5 tax, making $115.50. Tourist class jet round trip, $88 plus $440 tax, $92.40. And group of 25 or more round trip, $70 plus $73.50 equals $73.50. So there again shows that in writing that the Delta is the less expensive one.
Less expensive, cheaper.
That's right, they let you go down on one schedule and you may come back at any time on yours, but you don't make a stop on the way. For instance, I mentioned to him about the cottage at St. Simon's, there's a Delta airline there, you know. He said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, you can't stop over, but you can designate your time.
You do not have to come back as a group either. You can come back anytime you want to. Let me just outline the conditions of use of group fare. The group must consist of 25 or more belonging to the same organization. Wives or husbands are eligible. I'm glad. Children are also eligible, and children under 12 travel for half fare. The group must travel together to the destination. Returns may be made on different dates, providing they are via the same routing. No stopovers are permitted. A written application on the form provided must be submitted 30 days prior to the date of departure. So we've got to move fast because April 3rd will be here very shortly. Advanced reservations must be confirmed 21 days prior to departure, and tickets must be issued at that time. One individual must be responsible for making all reservations, signing the contract, and paying for all tickets. The departure times, 8 a.m., arriving 9:43, 9:50, 11:24. Well, let me read just the departure times. 8 o'clock, 9:50, 1:45, 3:30, 5:30, 9:40, and 11:25. Now, according to the schedule here, there are things going on Sunday afternoon.
Didn't he say in a schedule there that we leave here Sunday morning? I glanced over the letter hurriedly. I didn't get it until after 3 this afternoon, about 3:30. I believe he set us a date for Sunday to go down on.
Oh. Delta Flight 2, departing at 10:25 a.m. on Sunday, May 3rd, would probably be a desirable one for your group. It arrives nonstop in Miami at 11:53.
I told him he better give us a designated time that we could work on, you know, because given several schedules and all. He seemed to think that that's early morning Sunday.
You'll bring that up at the district meeting, won't you, Joe?
There's a state caucus that night at 8 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, if we get him before noon that day, we'll be all set.
Let me see what it says here. Sunday at 1 p.m., there's a project workshop for Appalachia. At 3 o'clock, there's a joint ANA, NSA, Student Nurse Association general program called Vertical Mobility. And that's all on Sunday. I was reading the wrong program. How about that? There's a film program, 2:30 to 5:30. There's a play at 3:30 called The Man Nobody Saw. And then at 8 o'clock, there are 10 occupational forums, but the Georgia caucus will be meeting there.
One thing I'm concerned about is I think somebody that knows Miami ought to suggest to us some hotels that we could try to arrange to be as near as we can. Get together on that.
In that ANA in action gives you a picture.
Has the sketches,
Diagram.
I saw all those diagrams, and I went down there to Miami once, but I'm trying to think about the hotels that are nearest to Convention Hall.
The plaza where the convention's going, the headquarters is going to be is way up.
It is.
Away from Convention Hall, but the people who
What's
know
this
Miami
now?
says
They have buses.
plaza.
It's not even gonna be in Convention Hall?
Yeah, the convention will be in Convention Hall, but you always have headquarters. And that's at the plaza. Somebody told me that you have buses running up what is
You
it,
do.
Collins Boulevard about every 10
Yeah.
minutes, so you really don't have to worry too much
The
about that.
Delano is down in there, Nautilus and some
I
of
remember
those
that one, and the
short
Shell, when we stayed at the Delano last time. I went in there.
Well, we've applied for Shelburne, First Choice.
The Shelburne, the Nautilus, and the Sea Club. Surf
Surf
Club.
Club, those are the ones
Were
we,
the three that the state
Club
group has applied for.
Well, I think our people be asking us about it, you know, and making their reservation, and we might suggest to them that,
I'm planning to have my car down there. I asked for Holiday Inn as the first choice in Delano, and then the Nautilus, because but you don't know what you'll get, really.
No, you don't know what you get because they put you in a pot and sort you out.
and there's pre-registration this time too, were you gonna mention that? Which will be a great help.
Great help.
I think this is the first time they've had pre-registration, advanced registration.
then Ms. Flynn, do you wanna select somebody to be the group leader and let me get about 200 or 300 letters like that circulated to the hospitals and all the Fifth District area there, and give us a deadline on when we'll have to have it?
Well, I guess what I'm sitting here thinking about is, I think perhaps as a board, we can decide which flights we want to take. That's being a little dogmatic, but if we start to make a survey, we're gonna end up with 1,000 different times that people wanna leave. And we've only got 2 weeks to work on it.
Well, you know, when we had a chartered group before, and this was a chartered plane, we had 2 planes and around 200 people, and I would venture to say half of them were from right near
Right
here,
here.
so I feel that we could, that there'd certainly be 25 people that we could get this special rate. Hope so.
This is a regular flight, though, not charter.
Right, it's a regular
Delta.
flight.
Were you on that one too?
I've heard about it.
Oh, boy.
We lived through it, we'll never forget it.
Terrible.
I just am not interested in charter flights. Never have been.
Never will I be again.
Never been interested. I read the Navy planes, and that's all the charter flights I want. ever want.
Well, I'm gonna get to San Francisco.
Well, shall we look into that 10:25 flight? Those of you that are
That
going?
would give the night nurses time to get off and have breakfast and get on flight.
No, we can play on the beach in the afternoon. Sure.
Take my bikini.
See-through if you take your bikini.
You can get sunburn that first afternoon.
Just to say,
That's nice. Okay, well, aim for the 10:25 a.m. on May 3rd. So if you'll spread the word around.
somebody make a motion that we take the Delta flight. Is that what you want to get on writing?
Yeah, we can do that.
Move we take Delta flight, whatever number it is, at 10:20.
It's flight 2, departing Atlanta at 10:25, Sunday, May 3rd.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Say aye. Opposed?
It can be as
Motion's
many over,
carried.
excuse me,
Ma'am?
it can be as many over 25, doesn't matter, just since you have the 25.
Right.
And if we have the 25, now this is Delta for 68, what, round
25.
trip?
68.25.
Round trip. You go in the route at that time, but you can return by the same route, but when you please.
Now, we need one individual who will be responsible for making all the reservations, signing the contract, and paying for all the tickets.
I'll get all of your material out for you and get you some little cards made up. Do rather than she did those last ones at the state fair, the little big ones.
See, I really can suggest no one that I know that would have the time to do this and is centrally located. This is almost a full-time job for 2 weeks.
I know, about 9 people that wants to go, but I know I wouldn't have the time to be the group leader. That's why I wanted to know if, you know.
Already registered.
That's
There's several
right
to
there.
go too.
I know.
I don't think we'd be in trouble getting some by. Oh, you have to get money right here.
Yeah, you've got to pay for the tickets.
Oh, that's good.
Carolyn?
We gonna have to transfer some out once they have enough money to get to Miami.
No, I wouldn't worry about that.
What would you like me to do?
No, I was just wondering, since you are in the office, and they like your number, they know that, whether this would be
You can
possible.
get the money.
Well, if you don't have a volunteer,
Oh, well, we authorize, what you saying, we authorizing her to sign the contract?
To accept it.
But, I wouldn't put any money out for anybody that I didn't have their check in my little hand.
well, I don't think there'd be any danger there. I can't. Listen, you don't know how bad it is to be stranded on a Monday morning and have nearly $800 and can't get a bit of it. My little check was down at the office, my Navy check was in the mail, and all I had was a $10 bill and $2 $1. I couldn't pay the paper boy, I couldn't do anything. And I had a lot of things due on the first too, and I hadn't had time to check my checking account in 2 months. So don't worry, I won't be putting out the money for anybody that we don't have. Well, y'all want them, but the problem about that is if it goes in on the district, then I've got to go ahead and put it on all of our ledgers, on all of our books, and everything. Whereas if someone individually,
May I make a suggestion about this? I recommend that the information go out very clear and specific, that they are to write the check to Delta Airlines, forward it to you, and when you've got 25 checks in your hand, you take them and go buy 25 tickets with their names on them. And that's, I wouldn't deal with it on any other terms.
well, that's what I didn't want to do, it mix up with the district's books and the audit and things like that.
And I would not accept a check that didn't have Delta Airlines, wasn't written to Delta Airlines. I wouldn't take any of this loose slovenliness about writing checks to you or writing all kind of,
I know because I get wrong kinds. I got one for $16 out of those 3 that I got the other day. You have it printed out for them and everything.
I go along with what she says with one exception, and that is, so when you get 25 checks, I would rather see us put a deadline as to when these checks must be there and how many ever you get, then try to make that many reservations.
well, yes, I didn't mean to exclude other people, but I wouldn't spend my energy running out recruiting people because they don't know a bargain when they see it.
Well, let me do this. Let me ask Miss Woody, since she's already inquired about the other, if she would like to be the group leader. And if she doesn't do it, go ahead and do it in the district.
You see, it only involves 2 or 3 steps. One is to get the information clear, get the check signed
Well, I can
to
get
Delta,
the information out.
and somebody's got to type up a list of the people, because Delta's going to make out tickets in the name of the people. Now, Delta probably though I'm not sure about it. They might even address envelopes for those tickets to go into, to the individuals. And the group leader is nothing more nor less than a person who shows up there and other 25 people to show up too. Because there really isn't any, you know, if they pay for the tickets and don't show up, that's their problem.
Yeah, they don't get the money back.
They're not gonna get the money back.
See, why I hesitate on Miss Woody is I've tried to call her several times and it's almost impossible to get
I
hold
was
of her.
just thinking that since she had already made an inquiry about it, you know, on her own last year in the letter to Easton, and I called this morning to be sure she'd made no commitments or that we would not interfere with any program she had in mind, and she said, no, she just remembered that last slide. See, the only thing I have here is Miss Overton gave, Delta Man came to see us, I referred to the state where I thought it should be. And then they handed me back this little note, said I called Jerry Jenks of Delta and he will be in touch with you about the group arrangements to Miami. And here's a copy of the letter we received from Easton, thanks, and that's from Miss Overton. And this is the letter that Miss Woody had written to them. In fact, they spell it W-O-O-D-W on that. She's happy to supply with additional information concerning arrangements and so forth.
Are you thinking of sending a mailing to our whole membership with this information, or?
I wouldn't.
Oh, no, that's $60.
I know.
What I plan to do is get this letter and have about 100 or 200 copies made. I think it'd take 300 to cover everything as we usually do. That's the average we send out to all the hospitals and all the health agencies. And distribute.
That should do it.
Distribute the
Yeah.
cards.
Delta sends a lot of these themselves. If they know, if they have the addresses and the possibility of who's
Yeah.
going, they'll do the mailing.
Yeah, I think they would, Carolyn.
But we don't have time to get all that up right now.
I mean, they do for other conventions.
Time's so short on ours. See, this was handed back to us just last Saturday.
Well,
And he called me while I was sick, and I couldn't talk to him. So then, I got him first thing this morning, and he prepared this letter. He'd sent one to Miss Overton previously.
Yeah, now we have decided, the flight, Delta flight, Sunday morning, 10:25, May 3rd. So in all reality, this is the information that needs to go to the health agencies, right?
Right.
And that will get the majority of people who would be interested in
And then
going
we'd also
to the
have to have
convention.
a little return card here for them to make them a reservation.
No.
No,
No, sirree,
I was gonna say,
no.
I think we better do it by phone. I guess that's what's
No,
bugging me. That
it-
if they call the office and say, I wanna go, take my name down.
No. I would put on a card, the Delta offers a special rate which the district is sponsoring on flight number 2 on Sunday which leaves Atlanta at 10:25. You may return at a time of your choice. If you want to go on this, the ticket costs so and so. Please send check to the district office made out to Delta Airlines, and your ticket will be sent to you, and I wouldn't do anything else about it. And you'll get more than you can deal with.
I wonder if it would
That's
be
a
too
good
confusing to
suggestion.
send that letter, because it has all those other.
Well, I
terms,
would-
too.
wouldn't-
Isn't that what
yeah.
she's talking about?
No,
Like a copy and send?
Wouldn't you simplify it? I'll tell you, I get
Yeah, well, didn't you say you
don't
wanted to
nurse
read
aid
on
people anymore because
it
it's
out? It
just-
seems to me that would be confusing. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he
what
only
would the
gives us
deadline
one time coming out, and I think she's got
And put the
confused on the
deadline.
flights coming back. Isn't that it? On the flights coming back?
They make their own reservations at the time of their choice coming back, so long as they come back direct. But you see, then that's very basic and simple information, and it's up to them. Anybody that wants to cut down $30 on their expenses can do it, and the rest can just go pay $95 or whatever.
Well, I think we'd have to have something in writing, some kind of little old card for them to send on to the district. rather than telephone.
Well, you're gonna get a check.
You'll get a
You're
check,
supposed to get a
Carolyn, you'll
check,
get nothing,
Carolyn.
they are supposed, you cannot honor any messages, telephone or otherwise, without a check attached to it. So it's up to them to send you a check in the mail, and then you go buy a ticket in their name.
No reservation without the check.
No, sir.
Well, I realize that.
But I
But,
mean, they can't call you and say, well, get me a ticket.
put my name on the
Then
list.
the airlines, you see, is gonna mail all the tickets out. That's their job.
You'll have,
Well, the only thing I was trying to have was some uniform way, whereas we could distribute to the central agencies, the hospitals and so forth, some little something that we could make on the mimeograph that would put their name and their address and the flight number, and they mail it to us with the check. If you see some of the mail that I get coming in, man, the little pieces of bits of paper and little notes and things that are torn out.
you cannot honor anything in the world, Carolyn, but the name and address and a check. And after that, after a certain date, that's it.
It's
You
going
put
in
nurse
on the
maids, a
card,
bunch of
flight
middle-aged
number.
women, and
You're gonna have all that information on the card that goes
Well,
out.
that's what I was trying to say, that we put it on the information, you know, it would be
But
just.
that's the one going to the individual, doesn't need to be sent back to you.
I'm not sending it
Uh.
to individuals, I'm just gonna send out about 300 notices to the hospitals and all of the health agencies here for their bulletin board. It'll be one of two things, whichever you want me to do. Be a copy of the letter, or it will be a letter from 5th District, giving the concise dates, which would probably be better. Yeah, just.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think probably the conditions for the group fair ought to be outlined. This is what, as they have here. And say that this is the flight. Flight 2, if you're interested, you send your name and address to the district with the check, right?
Made out to Delta
Made out to
Airlines.
Delta
It will
Airlines.
not be accepted, made out to anybody else.
All right, y'all wanna set the date on it, or you want me to figure out what the date is on that deadline?
Well,
Well, that's
that's-
what I got on my calendar
Yeah,
for here.
give
Let's
yourself
see.
a few days to get it after the.
Yeah.
Well, now, it's got, all the reservations have to be made 30 days for written application.
Well, that would be
30
like
days
April
prior
the
to the
3rd then.
All right, then she should have the,
Well, if we all attended this thing first thing in the morning to get it out.
How about April 1st?
well,
Give them a little bit after the 1st so they can get the checks cashed, yeah. Give them at least till April the 2nd.
you can't, because you can't. You've got to buy those tickets before the 3rd, or by the 3rd.
And 30 days before. 21.
The form calls for the names, see, that's the problem. So we've got to have the names, so therefore we'll have to have the checks and all that.
Yeah, you've got to have the.
No,
So
we
we're gonna-
had the nursing service administrative section met on the 3rd of February.
April
That
2nd is
time,
the
our
absolute
Well,
last
you
day.
should say the event you have the 1st, you know, that's.
No, we don't have paid registration.
Yeah, let's say midnight of April.
They have advanced registration this
No.
year, and you pay. That was $5,
That was,
because I reported it.
yeah,
You mailed that
that's the
on.
only-
Did you get AMA?
I've already.
Well, I'm gonna get started in the morning, so
Little
don't
piece of
anybody
paper,
put me down.
okay, you
I'll-
can send it.
After I get it, I'll follow
Right,
it up,
so
whatever y'all decide you wanna do. I was hoping to put it all on one page and see if we wouldn't have.
I have a little
I've
notebook.
already sent mine.
They
It's so much easier, you know, to pre-register.
have.
I'm pre-registered for something the week before in Washington, and that weekend, I think
Well, I
you
don't
do.
know, but
Okay, then Carolyn will assume the responsibility.
What was the deadline?
Carolyn.
April 1st,
April
midnight,
1st.
first,
deadline.
Has anybody figured out how much roughly this will cost them to go down there if they're paying for their own
Well,
trip?
we, all of us at the hospital, I think about it, thought that $300 would cover it.
Hope this does not include meals, no. Are you
yes,
including your
goodness,
meals?
yes.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, you see, there were, at least 2 and maybe 3 that had reservations. We've already made reservations, at least we've written 3 places, 3 of us. And one of those nurses, Laura Shaw, who is our in-service education director, and connected with Eastern Airlines through her husband. And of course, she is insisting that we go by Eastern, but certainly if it's $30 cheaper by Delta, I'm sure that those who will not fly for half fare like she does would have to go by Delta. I'm sure I
I
would.
think Delta's $5 cheaper on the cut rate.
Just
It's
5?
73 something.
Yeah.
Just 5, well, keep her in a good humor, we may go with her. For $5, if that's all.
I wish I had said that.
Yeah, but you have, no, you have to go on a cut rate, you got to get 25 more to go with you to get
Yeah,
that.
you have to
Well,
get the cut rate.
To get the 25, well, if we can't go for the rate that Delta are very little, we certainly wouldn't go with
No,
them.
it's 115, you remember, and then 90 some odd. Oh, no, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna say absolutely no reservations made over the telephone.
$100.
I would
We'll
certainly
do
say
it.
so.
Do that thing you did.
Yeah, if you have a
No,
roommate, it'll be even a
extenuating
little cheaper than
circumstances
that.
come up. You wanna give me the
And,
left
you
hand
know, you
side
can
for work
eat,
on it?
you can eat in Miami, it's reasonably the same place in the world.
Thank
It's the only place I ever could come out even more expensive camp when I was working at State Board Health.
Now, the posters are now available for advertising the convention. And if you all haven't seen them, you can.
We've got 300 of them. I've
Look at
been
them.
waiting to put them out. They said wait until after the meeting last Saturday, so we could have something to go along with it, you know, about these. So I'll get both of these out at the same time.
Is there other new business?
I hope we won't have a lot of bills from this convention back to the ANA. It's supposed to be self-supporting, isn't it?
That's what they said. Quotes.
The state is helping, state member nurses are helping ANA with, the business of managing the convention. Because they will have very few staff.
I was just wondering if the assessment that they've asked for, I know that no one likes to have to even give $10, but there seemed like a rather modest request for the size of the debt.
Yes, I think it did too.
I
just wonder how much of it will.
Margaret, is it true that the computer service that was supposed to cost $90,000 cost about $400 or more?
I thought it was
They
only
had to
50,000
change
that one
computers.
was.
They're now with Eli.
$50,000. Was it the first one?
Their one was 50, and then that wasn't enough, so they went up to 90, and
Oh,
that wasn't
and
enough.
now
They're now spending around $450,000.
Yeah, nearly $500,000.
And then they wouldn't even give them the list
They-
of
no,
membership
they
when it was
wouldn't.
over
See,
with.
that's
And
the
the
reason
new
they
contract,
didn't
they've got it
do
so
that.
in case they cancel it, at least they'll have their membership with us.
Well, I hope that we are really having more, when you have to say efficient staff running ANA, because if they had been efficient, I don't think it would be, we might have been some in debt, but certainly not over $1 million.
It isn't just efficiency, it was just total incompetence in thinking in terms of big business.
I have some announcements. Okay, for your information, Mr. Robert Heiss now has been employed as the Associate Executive Director in charge of Economic and General Welfare. His title now is changed from Director to Associate Executive Director in charge of the Economic and General Welfare Program. Another thing at the board meeting that came up is that a request, no, this is state. The GSNA Executive Board and the GSNLM Council of Schools of Nursing prepare a joint position statement to the Governor, Mr. Fortson, Secretary of State, the newspapers, the Board of Examiners of Nurses for Georgia, providing the Council of Schools of Nursing approves. And this is in regard to yes, thank you. The vacancy in the Board of Examiners, the educational supervisor.
Did she file and have the resignation accepted, or is she
Well,
still
I mean,
on
this
leave?
is- she's still on leave.
She's still on leave. Also from Mr. Heiss, we have an announcement that a joint council is being set up and really is being reactivated. Some of the objectives of the joint council, and this is the Metropolitan Atlanta Joint Interest Council, which is an attempt to band together the unit chairmen of the various units we have right now. The following objectives of the joint council should be as follows: to aid in coordinating the EGW activities in the greater Atlanta area, to provide better communications between GSNA staff, the districts, and the local units in the greater Atlanta area, to help evaluate ideas and make recommendations regarding EGW activities in greater Atlanta area, to aid in developing local unit leadership. The joint council will be composed of representatives from each district in the greater Atlanta area, representatives from each of the organized local units in the greater Atlanta area, and thirdly, other nurses who want to actively support the program. It was suggested that for the present, the joint council should operate on an informal basis in order that meeting time can be devoted to constructive planning rather than fulfilling organizational requirements. The above is intended to be a starting point from which we can begin working with future changes to be made by those attending the monthly meetings. Just for your information. On the 23rd, April 9th and 10th, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is the 23rd National Conference on Rural Health. Anybody want to go? We won't send you them. The neighborhood group schedule has some very interesting programs. They're talking about cardiopulmonary resuscitation on March 5th at the Mount Vernon Baptist Church. Cardiovascular drug therapy is scheduled in Tucker for March 18th. And that is about all. The Macon Hospital, if you hear anybody, sent me a very nice letter asking me to please recruit openings for nurses with master's degrees to fill various administrative positions. The two openings presently are the Director of Nursing Service and the Director of Nursing Education. And he goes on to sell the city of Macon. Also, for your interest, I had a call from the ANA requesting permission from Miss Linda McSwain to do a one-page spread on her little booklet, Happiness Is. And Linda has replied in the positive, and she's going to allow them to do that. So I think that's quite an honor, really. And that is all the announcements I have. Are there any other announcements? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?